Hey everybody, glad you are with us. I'm Dustin Grove.
And I'm Anne Marie Tiernan in for Felicia, who's off today. Thank you so much for watching and join us here on 13 News at 4. Also ahead today, we have for you a look at Live Longer in Lawrence. Did you know that how long you live really varies based on where you live? Sometimes a matter of blocks here in Indianapolis can make a big difference. So we're going to tell you about the effort that's underway right now to narrow the gap on the northeast side of Marion County.
Yeah, the mayor of Lawrence really concerned about that. Look forward to that story coming up. First, though, we begin with that deadly shooting earlier today just north of downtown. We know 2 people were shot.
And we know that 1 woman died, and the other victim of the shooting is at the hospital getting treatment right now.
Our Matthew Foltz was at the scene today, has the latest now on the search for a suspect.
Metro Police telling us that deadly shooting happened right here at the historic Dorchester Apartments just south of 38th Street. And right now, police believe this could have been some sort of domestic violence situation. And advocates that we spoke with here at the scene say this is something that could have been prevented.
It tears at our heart every time something like this happens.
Danielle Smith is a domestic violence survivor and advocate here in Indianapolis. She was at the scene near 37th and Pennsylvania after getting a call that someone had been shot.
But when we go to scenes like this, it's tragic, wishing that we could have got to that victim, before something like this happens.
Metro Police say a man and woman were both found shot inside of an apartment unit just after 4 this morning. The man was injured and was transported to the hospital in serious condition. The woman died at the scene and was later identified as 39-year-old Kia Robinson.
Unfortunately, we have to, hear about and see family and see friends that are mourning someone who's lost their lives.
Metro Police say several other people were inside the apartment where the shooting happened, but were not injured. We also saw multiple people who were visibly shaken up and emotional at the scene. Smith says it's a shock to the entire community.
It impacts all when it impacts one.
Now, Smith tells us there are resources available for anyone who may be experiencing domestic violence. We'll have those resources for you at WTHR.com. Meanwhile, Metro Police say they're still looking for the suspect involved in this incident, so anyone with any information is asked to give them a call. Reporting in Indianapolis, I'm Matthew Foltz, 13 News.
I'm going to switch gears to weather now. We told you the muggy air was on the way and it is here. It's nothing extreme, but it is definitely going to grab your attention because we have not had many days like this at all this year. We're currently at 83 degrees. Again, this is not record breaking. We're not talking dangerous heat, but it is certainly more humid than it's been. Southwest wind up to almost 20 miles per hour. And the difference maker today, we still have the haze. We still have a few clouds around, and temperatures are a few degrees warmer, like by 5, almost 10 degrees warmer than yesterday's 80-degree high. We've got 86 in Richmond, 87 Shelbyville, Terre Haute at 87. But this is the map that's different compared to 24 hours ago. Dew point temperatures just about 20 degrees higher. So that is what you're feeling. And now that it's here, it will linger into the start of the weekend. But no rain. We didn't expect any, and we don't have any, just a few clouds popping up. The storm action stays to the west of us with this front today. That will be the player for tomorrow. We'll talk more about Wednesday's severe threat ahead in the forecast.
All right, Sean, I see you have your Fever tie on there. It is game day today, and the Fever are back home tonight. In fact, they're hosting the Washington Mystics. This is the second matchup for these 2 teams in the regular season this year.
Given the trend lately, this game feels like a must-win for Indiana, right?
Well, they have had some issues with people being injured.
Yeah.
And they haven't had very many wins recently.
A number of challenges. Samantha Johnson has been following this team. She's live this afternoon from Gainbridge Fieldhouse. And Sam, they have had so many injuries, they actually called in reinforcements from the WNBA.
That's right, and this feels like a tough patch right now for the Indiana Fever, right? You mentioned it. They used the league's emergency hardship exception to bring in another player because of all of the injuries to this team right now. We told you about this yesterday. Teams can only do this when they have less than 10 eligible players, and that's what the Fever were experiencing earlier this week. So take a look. We first told you about this yesterday here on 13 News. Arie McDonald, a 4-year veteran in the W, now in Indianapolis with Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham out. Sydney Colson also dealing with an injury. So we stopped by practice on Monday, where head coach Stephanie White says using McDonald will give this team a defensive boost and allow playmakers like Aaliyah Boston to really show out. So Coach White tells us the plan for tonight is to play simple but tough basketball with Aari McDonald.
You know, we got to keep it simple when she's out there. We can't do everything. So honing in on 3 or 4 plays, 3 or 4 actions that we can get her going with, and then allowing her to be her. She sets the tone on the defensive end of the floor, and we need that.
All right, so Fever Mystics tonight inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Tickets are still available. I checked this afternoon. You can get in the door for $7 if you still want to come down to Gainbridge Fieldhouse tonight, or you can watch for free on our sister station, MeTV WALV. That starts at 7 o'clock, and we've got information on how to find that at WTHR.com.
All right, Sam, thanks so much. And don't forget, we are your local TV home for the Indiana Fever. In fact, you can watch tonight's game. It's free. All you have to do is click over to our sister station. That is MeTV. And that tip-off tonight is at 7 o'clock.
Meantime, the Indiana Pacers returned to the practice court today to begin preparations for the NBA Finals.
Oh, that's right. And then hitting the road. You know, games 1 and 2 are in Oklahoma City before the series then comes back to Gainbridge Fieldhouse next week. That's where we find Rich Nye tonight after he talked with the team today about their next challenge and what has been a really incredible playoff run. And Rich, I saw that you've got this big trophy there. What's the deal with that?
Okay, so Anne Marie and Dustin, this is the Larry O'Brien trophy. Well, it's not the trophy, but it's an 8-foot replica of the prize you get if you win the NBA Finals. The NBA Finals will start on Thursday in Oklahoma City with 2 teams. They're going for their first ever NBA championship. Let's go back to Saturday night here at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. What a celebration here as the Pacers advance to the NBA Finals for just the second time in their history. The last time 25 years ago. And now they take on the best team in the NBA this season, the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's 2 young teams, 2 exciting teams. The Pacers looking forward to this challenge.
2 high-level basketball teams that play, an elite style of basketball, share the ball really well. A lot of different people can chip in. I think that's the exciting part about this. I don't want to say it's like a passing of the torch by any means, because the old heads are still here and they're still all playing very well. But definitely to see 2 young teams, 2 young organizations, fighting with a chance to win a championship, I think is a very big deal.
And again, game 1 is on Thursday night in Oklahoma City. The Pacers are going to be headed that way, but they're taking a larger than normal travel party with them. In fact, the Simon family is allowing all of the full-time Pacer Sports and Entertainment employees to bring some of their family with them for games 1 and 2 in Oklahoma City. So the Pacers will have a larger than normal fan support crowd in Oklahoma City. Now, they'll still be way outnumbered, Anne Marie and Dustin, but at least they'll have some of their family and friends and the staff of the Pacers there to cheer them on in game 1 and 2.
I think that's really cool. They've been cheering them on all season. Very generous from the Simons to make that available for everyone to be a part of it. Rich, thanks so much.
Well, we know the competition is going to be fierce between the Pacers and the Thunder, but listen to this. The mayor of Oklahoma City is giving major praise to Indy. In an editorial today in the Indy Star, he said if it wasn't for our city, their city may not even have made it to the finals. I talked with the mayor of OKC about it earlier today.
The historical tie to Indianapolis is so pronounced here in OKC that it just seemed regrettable if I didn't acknowledge it. And I've had so many people come up to me in the last week and say, like, wow, isn't that crazy? We're going to play Indy, and isn't that poetic, after how much in Indianapolis, was our inspiration for what we are today.
Essentially, the backstory is you were losing business to Indianapolis and you decided to kind of ask, well, why is this happening, right?
The immediate reaction from our leadership was, yeah, what is it about Indianapolis? And interestingly, right, like Indianapolis doesn't have an ocean or mountains, right? They're kind of like us. And so Mayor Nordick got on a plane it's part of his story, you know, that he went on a plane. He went to Indianapolis to actually lay eyes on the modern Indianapolis in 1991 and see what was happening there. And he found a city with a vibrant downtown. He came home and you know, I think took various lessons away. One was, we've got to build up our downtown. Another was, if we could get a Major League professional sports team, that would really be a game changer. And, you know, we worked over the next years to come in executing that plan.
He's still going to cheer for the Thunder, though.
Yeah, of course.
That's our whole conversation on WTHR Plus. And city leaders from Oklahoma City actually made several trips to Indianapolis throughout the 90s.
Yeah, you know, it's really interesting because I worked here in Indianapolis in the early 90s, and if they were to come back now, they wouldn't recognize the downtown.
Things have changed.
Yes,
Things have
I mean, it
changed.
has just, there were very few places to get dinner downtown, you know, even at that time. I was working nights, and it was like there was McDonald's and Wendy's.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah,
You
it's,
know,
remember
times
we
have
had
changed.
Circle Center Mall then in '95, so it was
Came on later, yeah.
absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
All right.